Here are some of the worst gender reveal fails ever, part 2. This gender reveal went tragically wrong when a plane streaming the sign "It's a Girl" nosedived into the ocean. The expecting family was watching from a boat when the plane lost control while performing stunts, killing the 2 pilots. During this gender reveal, a father-to-be did a burnout with his car to reveal the gender of his baby, when suddenly the car burst into flames, but thankfully bystanders pulled them from the burning car unscathed. A family did their gender reveal party at a quarry with 80 pounds of tannerite, which is an explosive powder. When they detonated the explosion, it caused a small earthquake which rocked 2 states, causing lots of damage to nearby houses. The government has millions of dollars of unclaimed money, and some of it is probably owed to you, so I'm gonna show you how to claim your cut. First, go to unclaimed.org, scroll down and select your state. I'm just gonna use Texas as an example. Search using your last name and it'll show you how much money you have unclaimed from the government. Your cut could range from a few dollars to thousands of dollars. Once you find how much you're owed, just follow the steps to receive your money. Most expensive mistakes in history. Apple was founded by 3 people, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ron Wayne. But most people haven't heard of Ron Wayne because back in 1976, he sold his 10% ownership of Apple for only $800. If he had decided to wait until 2022, his 10% would be worth around $300 billion. In 2000, Reed Hastings, the co-founder of Netflix, met with the top executives of Blockbuster. He wanted to either partner up with Blockbuster or sell them all of Netflix for $50 million. Blockbuster laughed at Hastings' 2 offers. 10 years later, Blockbuster went bankrupt and now Netflix is worth $158 billion. Crazy coincidences you won't believe actually happened, part 5. In 2018 in Camptown, Pennsylvania, a body was found wrapped in a black tarp inside a creek by the police. During the police investigation, some reporters were on the scene talking about what had happened. That's when one journalist came across Matthew Haverly, who lived with his mom right next to the creek where the body was found. While being interviewed, he said this.
It's sad to say that that's someone's either daughter, mother, whatever, both.
Remember that quote because hours later cops realized that the body in the creek was Matthew's mom. This makes his comments about the body being someone's mother very suspicious. Cops raided his property and found the same black tarp that his mom was wrapped in his shed. And he was arrested and sentenced to 3.5 to 14 years in prison for the murder. Creepiest things caught on Google Maps. In this TikTok, serial killer Juan Carlos Hernandez was caught transporting dead bodies. Between 2012 and 2018, Jose and his wife Patricia sexually assaulted, dismembered, and ate up to 20 young women. They would then feed the hearts of their victims to their dogs and dump the body bags in this roadside location that can be seen on Google Maps. They even sold the baby of one of their victims into human trafficking. Thankfully, they were both arrested and each sentenced to 327 years in prison. Genius people who beat the system, part 11. Lucky wanted to diss her bad teachers, so in her senior quote she put, "To all the teachers that never taught me a thing," and put a timestamp from Stranger Things that says this.
Son of a bitch, you're really no help at all.
A guy was playing video games when his girlfriend asked him to watch the cake that she was baking as she didn't want it to burn. But he didn't want to just sit there and watch the cake, so he FaceTimed the cake so he could continue playing video games upstairs. Nikola Lulic was a third-class passenger aboard the Titanic. But when disaster struck, third-class passengers were a low priority, so Nikola found a sailor's cap and used it as a disguise to secure a spot on a lifeboat. And he went on to live another 50 years. Lost inventions that could have changed the world, part 4. In the late 1990s, inventor Jan Sloot created the Sloot digital coding system. He claimed it could compress an entire multi-gigabyte movie down to a file size of 8 kilobytes. This would have revolutionized the way we store and share data. Slout demonstrated this to executives from Philips by playing 16 movies simultaneously from a single 64 kilobyte chip. And the Philips execs told Slout that he was about to be, quote, the richest man on earth. However, 2 days before the source code was going to be handed over, Slout mysteriously died in his garden of a heart attack on September 11th, 1999, and his decoding software was never recovered. People who got caught in 4K, part 2. This movie theater was caught using Amazon Prime Video to play movies, but the funniest part is that it gave them an error message saying too many videos were playing at once on their account. A customer sent a small business this email saying that she ordered the shooting star ring but instead only got an empty box. But the photo she attached to the email showing the empty packaging shows her wearing this ring, which is literally the ring that she bought. Someone recorded an Amazon truck early in the morning and captured the delivery driver delivering more than just packages. Let's just hope that nothing got on the packages, if you know what I mean. Genius inventions that should exist everywhere, part 12. The Defender is the all-in-one self-defense tool. If you're ever attacked, just take a picture. The picture as well as your location is instantly sent to the authorities. Also, after taking the picture, it sprays pepper spray and sets off its mighty speaker, which attracts attention, and it's small enough to always have on you. The meld knob and clip helps you cook the perfect meal every time by automatically turning the heat up or down to keep the food at the perfect temperature. Also, the Meld app has hundreds of recipes, and when you select one, the app connects to the knob and clip and cooks the meal for you. The Quad Ski is the world's first quad and jet ski in one. It's capable of going 45 miles per hour on both land and water and could potentially save lives. Since it converts from quad to jet ski in only 4 seconds, lifeguards could use it to quickly rescue someone who could have drowned or been pulled to sea. Genius people who beat the system, part 10. This TikToker was at her kid's baseball game where there were rules that wouldn't allow parents to have alcohol. So she got these sleeves you easily just slip onto cans that hides what the actual drink is. That's thinking outside the box. You're not allowed to write anything negative in your senior quotes. So Amber wrote The Office, Season 7, Episode 19, Minute 445. And if you go to that moment in the show, it says this.
Should have burned this place down when I had a chance.
A couple were at the arcade and really wanted to win the arcade jackpot by landing on the 1,000 tickets reward. But they didn't want to waste a ton of money trying to do it legitimately, so instead they just lifted the glass and made it land on the jackpot. Crazy coincidences you won't believe actually happened, part 4. Just days before their wedding, Alex and Donna were looking through Donna's baby photos. In this picture of Donna taken in Disneyland, Alex noticed himself in a cart being pushed by his father 20 years before he and Donna met. These two drunk guys were imitating Conor McGregor on the sidewalk in Dublin, Ireland, when suddenly Conor McGregor drives past them, opens his window, and talks to them. This 10,000-year-old skeleton was found in a cave in Cheddar, England, and its DNA was tested. It was discovered that a living relative was teaching history about a half-mile away, tracing back nearly 300 generations. Here are some of the worst gender reveal fails ever. These parents were trying to make their daughter pop the balloon that would reveal what their new baby's gender was. But the little girl didn't want to pop it and threw the dart. This led to the mom hitting her and letting go of the balloon, which floated away. This family was having a powder gender reveal. The plan was that everyone would pop the tubes at the same time. But this kid dropped his on the floor before they all did the big reveal, which made it break and revealed it was a boy, which ruined the surprise. For this gender reveal, they shot a target and it exploded, showing it was a boy, but the explosion caused a wildfire to start. The wildfire ended up burning 47,000 acres owned by the state of Arizona, and the father is being forced to pay $8.2 million in restitution. People who got caught in 4K. This girl had her feet on her boyfriend when suddenly the guy in the middle tried taking a picture of her feet, but the flash went off. If you look at the guy's reaction when he gets caught, it looks like his soul left his body. This TikToker was sunbathing by the pool when this older man was just blatantly staring at her. As he was unknowingly being recorded, he puts his hand down and seems to do something very gross, but thankfully he was kicked out. This guy sent this selfie to his girlfriend and said he was hanging out with his coworker Patrick. But his girlfriend said that Patrick looks a lot like a girl because if you zoom into his glasses, you can see that Patrick has long blonde hair. Genius inventions that should exist everywhere, part 11. Apparently we are living in the future as now there are projection keyboards. Just connect the device to your phone and you can type using a hologram, and as an added bonus, you don't have to worry about spills anymore. Don't you just hate when you're laying on your towel and sand gets on it? If that's you, then you might need this. This beach mat absorbs sand. When sand gets on it, it travels through it and goes out the other side, and thankfully it can't come in through the bottom. Honestly, I'm very confused on why all stores and malls don't have this. It's an escalator just for your cart. All you have to do is push your cart through the little doors and it will go up or down at the same speed that the escalator for people does. Times when psychics helped solve crimes. On May 15, 1976, 14-year-old Susan Jacobson left her home to go to a job interview at an ice cream parlor, but she never came back. Susan's parents contacted the police, but the police said she probably just ran away with her boyfriend Dempsey Hawkins and they refused to search for her. 2 weeks later, Susan's parents contacted a psychic, Dorothy Allison, to help with the case. Dorothy asked what the word Mar meant, claiming she saw it in red spray paint. She also envisioned an abandoned car, dual church steeples, the smell of oil, and claimed that Susan had been strangled to death by her boyfriend. Then 2 years later, 3 boys stumbled across Susan's body as they were hunting. At the site was the word Mar spray painted in red on a rock, dual church steeples, an abandoned car, and 2 oil drums which contained Susan's body. Plus, evidence at the scene showed that Susan had been strangled by her boyfriend Dempsey Hawkins, who was then sentenced to 22 years to life in prison. Terrible crimes that were solved by pure coincidence. On April 28, 1997, Zephany Nurse was born, and she was placed in a nearby crib while her mother Celeste slept, but when Celeste awoke, her daughter was missing. Police searched the hospital, but nothing of note was found. In fact, no progress was made in the case for nearly 2 decades. However, when Celeste's next oldest daughter Cassidy started classes at a new school in 2014, she met Mache Solomon. The girls quickly struck up a close friendship, and many people commented on the resemblance to one another. So much so that when Cassidy introduced Mache to her mom Celeste, she instantly contacted the police. When Mache's alleged parents couldn't provide proof of her birth, a DNA test was conducted and it was confirmed that Mache was actually Zephany Nurse, Celeste's missing daughter. The kidnapper LaVonna Solomon was later convicted in the abduction case and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Weird everyday items that are banned in prison. Chewing gum is banned because prisoners can use it to make impressions of keys and to jam door locks so their cell doors don't close all the way. Spiral-bound notebooks are banned because not only can prisoners make weapons out of the metal rings, but they could also use them to pick a lock. Some prisons in the UK have banned prisoners from watching R-rated movies. They don't want them watching violent movies or films that depict how babies are made. Bizarre mysteries and crimes that were solved by using Google Earth, Part 2. In 2006, a small plane carrying 2 passengers went missing over the skies of Arizona. But the 2 passengers didn't follow a flight plan, so no one knew what their route was, which made finding the crash site very difficult. But 3 years later, some cyber sleuths used Google Earth to find out the direction the plane was headed and eventually found the location of the lost plane crash. When David and his family weren't home, thieves stole their new camping trailer which was sitting in their driveway. There were no suspects in the case until a year later when David's 11-year-old son looked up their house on Google Earth. It had captured the criminal on their driveway moments before the crime took place. The police would use this photo to find and arrest the suspect. Genius inventions that should exist everywhere, Part 10. If you ever get a bug bite, all you have to do is put this little suction device over it and pop it out. This will remove the insect venom and saliva and stop it from itching. Next, if you've ever wanted to professionally clean your ears, then you need this device. It has a built-in HD camera that lets you see all the earwax on your phone so you don't miss a spot. Next, you can get infinite free water with the Fontis self-filling water bottle that uses solar energy to pull the moisture contained in the air. By doing this, it can produce 17 ounces of drinking water an hour all by itself. Here are some Google secrets that you didn't know about. If you type in Google space and click the first result, all of Google will start floating in space and you can type and mess with all the buttons by throwing them around. If you type in Pac-Man, you can play a Google version of Pac-Man along with other games such as Tic-Tac-Toe, Fun Facts, Minesweeper, Snake, Solitaire, and much more for free. If you type in Thanos and click the Infinity Gauntlet, you will not only make some of the search results disappear, but half of Google will also be snapped out of existence. And if you click it again, everything will be reversed. This man escaped prison 2 times by simply walking out the front doors without anyone noticing. Stephen Russell was serving 6 months in prison for fraud when he decided he wanted out. So while in jail, he stole street clothes that had been discarded and confiscated a walkie-talkie. When the guards were preoccupied, he put on the civilian clothing, grabbed the walkie-talkie, and acted like an undercover cop. He made his way to the exit and walked right out, but a few months later he was arrested for fraud once again. This time he was sentenced to 45 years but again decided he wasn't going to wait that long. So he discreetly started to collect green markers from around the prison and used them to dye his uniform. His prison uniform now looked just like the scrubs that the medical staff at the prison would wear. So he used this disguise to make his way to the exit and once again walked right out the front gate to freedom. Genius inventions that should exist everywhere, Part 9. If you hate having to do the dishes, then this product is perfect for you. Just put it in the sink along with some soap and water and in just a few seconds the dishes are spotless. And as a bonus, you can even do your laundry with it. We all know that you have to either take every grocery bag in on one trip or die trying. Well, with this device you can now easily bring in all the groceries in one trip using only one hand. Don't you just hate having to walk to your gate at the airport? Well, now you can sit and ride your luggage there. It's 3 times faster than walking, has good storage space, can charge your devices, and has GPS tracking so you never lose it. Weird life hacks that actually work. Getting the snow off your car can be a real pain, and just using a brush or a broom can scratch or dent your car. Well, all you have to do is use a leaf blower to quickly, easily, and safely remove all the snow from on top of your car. Have you ever had a balloon float away from you and then get stuck on the roof? Well, all you have to do is spray the balloon with some water and it will come right down. Don't you just hate when you pour soda into a cup and then the bubbles cause it to overflow and spill everywhere? Well, all you have to do is put a cup upside down on the soda and then flip it to not have it overflow with bubbles. This man escaped from 3 high-security prisons. Here's how he did it. In 1953, Alfred George Hines was serving 12 years in prison when he created his own key out of a bucket and used it to unlock his prison cell door. Weirdly enough, the other doors in the prison had the same locks fitted, so he used his key to open all of those too and got away in a car provided by a friend. After 8 months of freedom, he was recaptured, and during his new trial, he requested to use the bathroom. He was allowed to do so but had to be escorted by 2 officers, but he overpowered the guards and locked them together with a padlock he had smuggled in. Just 5 hours later, he was captured again as he was attempting to board a flight at the airport. He was then sent to Chelmsford, which was the only prison no one had ever been able to escape at the time. He somehow snuck his way to the prison walls, put 2 wheelbarrows on top of each other, climbed on top of them, and jumped over the prison walls to freedom once again. Dumbest/worst prison escape attempts ever. Kenneth Burnham was doing a few years in prison for burglary when he decided he had enough. As another inmate was about to be released on bond awaiting trial, Burnham took advantage of the light security and decided he would take that man's identity. He presented himself when the officers came to collect the lucky inmate, signed all the paperwork, and was just minutes away from freedom. There was just one problem. The inmate set for release, Glenn Taylor, was black, and Burnham was definitely not black. Prison officials quickly discovered the issue and Burnham's sentence was expanded because of his failed attempt to escape.